What's up, guys? It's Eventon here. I know it's been a while since my last video, but the Winter Nexus is here. Unfortunately, I'll probably only end up making 1 or 2 videos on this. I will be gone for a good portion of the holidays. As you can see here, I'm flying a Tempest. I wanted to try something a bit different. I wanted to do a suspect bait fit PvP dual newt Tempest, the whole shebang. I actually ended up chasing a Praxis into the site, which he himself was actually suspect. I probably should have known better because I did see a hoarder following behind it, but I just didn't think anything of it. And as you can see here, I tried to end up keeping a decent range. What I probably should have done was like kept range on him, and then the second I found out that he was running just full on newts and nothing but just heavy drones, I probably just should have found a way to just leave and escape. But of course, a lot of people running these sites and rattlesnakes and marauders and T3Cs and stuff like that. I'm like, all right, my bait ship, I think I could take on like other T1 battleships, T3Cs, you know, Praxis, things like that. At this point, I pretty much knew I was screwed. When I saw that hoarder sliding the gate, he was obviously just feeding it cat boosters or anything that it needed to pretty much just stay alive. And there's nothing, absolutely nothing I could do about it. So high sec PvP is a bit weird because of the third party, you know, mechanics like that, where you can technically indirectly help people, and it's a bit weird. So at this point, I was like, look, I'm just going to put my ECM drones on him. Hope for the best. I'm just aligning out and just waiting for that ECM to work so I can just get the heck out of here, because there's no way I'm defanging him or killing him by any means in my current fit. So at this point, I'm aligned. I'm trying to warp out, and right here I noticed that the scram dropped. So I was like, all right, perfect. I'm already aligned. Wait, why am I not warping out in time? So he ended up getting the scram and the web on me once again. So yeah, this guy totally baited me. I probably won't do high sec, you know, PvP baiting for a while. It's a totally different animal than wormhole space or anything like that. But as you can see right here, I'm actually playing it in slow motion. This guy actually ended up bumping me about 5 or so seconds just before the ECM actually ended up working on him. So honestly, if he did not bump me here, I would have been off grid, completely safe. I would have just, you know, waited out my combat timer and then just got off grid and, you know, redocked somewhere else. But, you know, good on him for actually bumping me and actually keeping me where he wanted me to be. So ended up refitting, or not refitting, I guess I got a whole new Tempest because I lost the last one. Ended up doing PvE fit. Again, Praxis run these sites fine. If you're running a Marauder or Rattlesnake, both of those ships are complete overkill for these sites for the most part. T3Cs do well. I've even seen some people use hacks as well. I wanted to just try something a bit different. Probably could have played this a little bit better. I ran rapid lights because I knew the huge bottleneck for these sites for me in a battleship, and as you guys have probably noticed too, running battleships, are the frigates. If you just cannot kill the frigates fast enough, that's going to really increase the amount of time it takes you to clear these sites. And right about here, I started panicking because I think I really underestimated the amount of damage these sites could do. I also probably should have changed my fit. I'm not sure why I'm running a reactive. It just wasn't acting in the same way that I thought it would. It wasn't reacting the same way I thought it would be to these sites and stuff like that. So ended up panicking, just warping off grid. I'm like, all right, I need to revisit this fit because any sites that have more than like 4 or 5 frigates, I'm just going to struggle with for the most part. So got off grid, went all the way back to, I believe, Jita, or maybe I went to somewhere else. So Dixie refitted my ship, and I think this fit works much, much better. Wasn't a huge fan of the rapid lights. They ended up doing all right, but I ended up having to put like almost an entire clip just to kill 1 frigate. And that's quite a bit because as you can see there, I'm running 2 rapid lights in those off slots. I mean, you can run smart bombs. It is kind of risky, especially if you're like hitting wrecks or if you potentially hit someone else. Like you have to be extremely careful with that for the most part. So you could get Concord or something weird could happen. I know someone like cloaks next to you and you like smart bomb on accident. And then you just get Concorded, you know, you and your Paladin or your battleship for the most part. So the other thing I swapped out was because I was running a I think just a normal grappler, but I ended up swapping it for a faction web so I could actually web things out to 13 kilometers. If you can web up to 14 kilometers, that's perfect because I think that is the distance that the battle cruisers orbit you. So I think the battle cruisers orbit at about 14, the cruisers 13, and then the frigates are pretty much all within that. Usually it's like between 8 to 4, depending on what kind of cruiser it is. So and I'm not having too much trouble clearing these. And of course, you have to be extremely careful with your drones. If you do send them out, try and do EM and thermal damage with your weapon types. Again, I realize using projectile weapons isn't ideal here. So if you are that person that has projectile weapons completely maxed out, but you don't have missiles or lasers or anything else maxed out for like the large weapon skills, you know, I do think the Tempest is a decent option. And all I'm running for the most part is just a single armor repper and a thermal and EM Hardener on my Tempest, because it's armor fit, it already has pretty high EM and thermal resistance. And on top of that, if you're running these sights, of course, in the snow areas, you're also going to be getting an extra 10% resist as well. And so after running these sights for a while, I realized I was probably clearing them in about 5 minutes, maybe a little bit less. It really depended on how many frigates there were. And there was one site, I think I stopped the recording beforehand. As you can see there, it is also cap stable, but I also took a whole bunch of drugs beforehand. Some of the event site drugs are actually really, really good. Some of them increase like your capacitor regen. Some really increase your tracking by a ton. So I would definitely check those out, though I think the tracking one's only for lasers and not for any other weapon type for the most part. But some of the drugs in these events are really, really helpful, and only for less than a mil, and sometimes even just a couple mil for a couple hours, just helping you clear these sites, especially if you're knocking them out, 5-6 minutes each site. You can get a lot of value out of those boosters. So as you can see, I really liked how this time around, it seems like CCP just let you just clear one wave of enemies and then the battleship shows up. I'm so happy they did that, because all the previous events, including a Winter Nexus, usually you would always have to clear at least 2 waves, and sometimes, weirdly enough, like a third wave would spawn while you're taking down the boss, or like maybe you kill a couple guys in the third wave, and then the boss shows up, and now you're fighting a wave plus a boss, and that gets really, really hairy really quickly. So I'm kind of glad they cleared this up, because now clearing sites is infinitely faster than it was before, for the most part. So wanted to zoom in here, get the nice slow-mo explosion of the ship, which was a ton of fun. So having a lot of fun in the Winter Nexus. So far, the loot has been pretty mediocre. I might try some of the mining sites, because I do have myself and about 3 other alts that I might just have my alts all just do a bunch of mining, and I just have one guy turn in all of the ice himself. So I'm kind of curious to see how that's going to play out for the most part. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I think I have one more video here. So another reason why I've been kind of behind on a lot of making videos recently is I got a new job, I got a new apartment, recently moved, I got a new computer. I'm trying out some new software when it comes to recording as well as video editing, all that kind of stuff. So a lot of stuff that would usually take me just a few minutes or even like an hour is now taking me a little bit longer, because I'm trying to learn some of this new software as well. So appreciate you guys being patient with me, watching a lot of my old videos. I do plan on making more content, probably a bit more on a consistent basis sometime in January, either early January, mid-January as well. But I do have a lot of other projects and other obligations I'm trying to keep up with as well. I also might take up some streaming. So a lot of you guys that have been watching me, I have done streaming before. I think I've streamed a couple times in the past on Twitch. I don't remember exactly, but let me know down in the comments below if you guys would rather see me stream on Twitch or on YouTube. Odds are, right now I'm leaning YouTube, just because that's where all of you guys are. A lot of you guys are on YouTube. I bet a good portion of you guys might not have a Twitch account, or don't really care for it, or just don't have the time. But it's so much easier on Twitch when, honestly, the searchability on Twitch is much more friendly. I already have thousands of subscribers that watch me on YouTube already, rather than on Twitch, where I have to kind of build up that other platform with like followers and subs and all that kind of stuff. I do understand Twitch is infinitely more interactive when it comes on the chat side of things, and same thing with the streamer, but we'll find some ways to make it fun. I think I've seen a couple other EVE Online content creators have some success on YouTube streaming, so I might take that up as well. That might be something I might do, maybe a couple times a month or something like that. I'll have to also run it by my corp as well, how we kind of want to do that, so we don't get stream sniped too hard. And so as you guys can see here, running this site, and I'm actually running this video at like 2.5 times speed just to kind of get through it. This site took me forever to clear all the frigates. And so at this point, I see the Paladins show up. I'm like, oh, are you kidding me? A whole nother reason why you need to clear the site. So I'm kind of curious, and I might try it again some other time, is instead of running 800mm autocannons, which is like the biggest guns you could put on a Tempest for the most part, I end up running like dual 650s or something like that, because I knew for a fact this guy was going to win this like DPS race, but I was just basically trying to bump him off and just try to loot it. Kind of forgot that Paladins can also use a tractor beam as well. So he ended up just pulling away from me. I look like an idiot, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Hope you guys take care, and I'll see you guys next time.